Hello, once again, and welcome to the final part of this Business World Fireside conversation. In this segment, we bring together the threads data, AI, resilience, and long term value to understand how institutions build for continuity, not just for change. Which data readiness gaps most often derail some of these transformation programs, even when the technology stack is strong? Any experiences there? Or do you think the world is ready with their data?
You see, the thing is that data is there. I mean, I don't think there is any shortage of data.
Yes.
The data
But the
is,
readiness, yes.
there's a great thinker on data. His name was Bill Inman, right? You may have perhaps heard of Bill Inman. There were two big guys,
Certainly.
Ralph Kimball and Bill Inman, right? So Bill Inman, actually, we were listening to him, and he said that, look, all these application providers have made us input data into systems. Okay. Difficulty comes when you want to get a report, right? Or you want an insight from the data. There's a banker that I used to deal with, in India, a foreign bank in India. He came frothing once to me, and he said, this was long back, and this is a real story. He came frothing. He said, you know how your MIS data, we used to give printouts of MIS reports, right? And he used to say, do you know how this MIS data is being used? So I said, how is it being used, sir? So he used to say, people take that and serve lunch on it and eat. So I said, what are you talking about? He said that, look, by the time I get an insight from the data that we've been inserting, I know it all. It comes so late to me. So data gathering has been going on for long, and we've collected a lot of data. Now, essentially, the thing is that when we try and seek an inference from it, the answer comes back that we need more data, right? So you put together more application there, right? I think that is where the challenge is, right? And particularly when you look at customer segmentation and trying to make inferences from the data that you gathered about a customer, and therefore you segment them, and therefore you want to make an offer to them, for example, in an area that we work with. you know Essentially, you say, hey, what if I had a little more so that I can make a more accurate offer, right? So that is where we see customers actually seek more of it. The second is that the amount of data that is getting generated outside your own, first party data is just humongous, right? And that gets you get to know more about your customers and your own organizations with some of those aspects, right? Um, so I think these are things that customers are looking at doing. We find that third-party data that is available outside about their clients, etc. They would like to assimilate it. That's what they're gathering. How do you capture it in a cogent manner? Do you leave it in the cloud or do you bring it in-house? I mean, those are the kind of decisions we see customers make. But in terms of their transactional data that the organizations generate on their own or second party data, most of the organizations that we work with have a lot of it, and now they want to make use of it in order to make inferences along with third party data that comes into play, and put that together. Yeah, that's what we see actually.
Yeah.
People are the second challenge is that the customers feel a little overconfident about their data. That's another observation, particularly in the context of using it in language models.
Absolutely. So, just to share a bit, like, in our various conversations or with the community, in the BFSI space, with the CIO, CTO kind of community, lately we've been obviously listening a lot about deterministic wins before probabilistic ambition, kind of a thing. So, Nitin and Rajiv, both from your perspectives, if you all could share your thoughts. So, in a regulated environment, trust is built incrementally. How important is it to start with deterministic, tightly scoped use cases before moving toward a probabilistic or an autonomous AI? So in your experiences, if you'll have dappled with that, so what typically goes wrong when as an organization you reverse this order? Any experiences, any thoughts on that? So Nitin, if I could start with you.
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Okay. See, there is a I don't know whether it's called, you can call it anything, but I kind of work on this whole concept of which I've tried to socialize and uh, with my previous organizations also, and even in SBI, I'm trying to do that.
Hmm.
Customers, when they deal with banks,
Hmm.
the foundational layer is trust, like Rajiv also spoke about in the beginning. The
Certainly.
foundational layer is really the trust building. So you decide to keep your money with SBI because you trust that your money is going to be safe, right?
Safe. Yes.
Now, or let's say you want to walk into a good restaurant. You want to
Hmm.
go to that restaurant because you trust that they will serve you, good food. Okay, that's the first consideration, that I should not get bad food. Okay, everything
Hmm.
else comes much later. The second thing in banking, we realize is that customers will first want to try things which are available to them without having to incur any cost. And that is true for us as consumers of other brands, other services also, right? You would
Absolutely.
want to try things which are available complimentary, or, where you don't have to
True.
incur additional cost because you've already
Yes.
incurred some kind of an effort, if not cost, to, let's say,
To
start an
avail
account.
that service.
Let's say you
Yes.
start an account with us. The
Absolutely.
first thing you would want to do is to start making payments where you don't have to, pay anything. You would want to start booking your fixed deposits. You will start transacting in your account. You will write checks or whatever else. You're not paying anything for that service, right? In the bank, in the meantime, we are also establishing relationship with the customer, because then they are transacting. We know that they are, moving from one bank to the other, or they are using this account as something else. Okay. The third layer to that is that when they have come to a stage where they're willing to pay a price for something that you would want to offer them. So this whole conversation about next best offer, let's say if I make an offer to you to take, let's say, a loan on the second day of your starting a relationship with us, you will probably not even look at it, and you will say that this guy is only interested in, pushing some loan product towards me. So there is a time and place when customers are going to be willing to part with some fee to say that, okay, I will take a loan, I will give you processing fee, I will give you interest, I'll take a locker, I'll pay you fee for that, or whatever else. And the final stage is where you have established such a high level of trust that you're willing to take my advice. So when I come and tell you that, okay, this is the best health insurance plan for you, this is the best investment option for you, this is how you plan for your child's education or whatever else, you accept that, and you have a conversation with me which, has outcomes on the lines of you trust my advice, and therefore you're willing to listen to me. But that cannot happen, immediately. It has to happen with, you have to give it time. So when we look at AI models, and the reason I'm telling you this long story is that, at customers follow that mental model. Banks also try and follow that model, but
Certainly.
invariably, you will find somebody who's over enthusiastic and starts to try it, starts to sell an insurance product, on the third day of the relationship. And
Yes.
data tells you very clearly that customers who buy investment products usually already have 4 or 5 products because they've gone through that time and journey with
Journey.
you.
Yes. True.
Customers who take loans from you, or the bank is willing to underwrite a loan for a certain set of customers, they're already transacting with you, unless they
True.
come with all the documents, etc. So the AI models, when they determine and say that this customer is likely to now take a loan, are probably a lot better because they are built on this whole philosophy of life cycle management. When they are extremely probabilistic, to say that I know bunch of customers, there's a cohort, which also behaves in the same way. They have, expressed the same behavior with another bank. You don't apply your mind. My model is telling you go and, recommend this to them. It'll mostly not work. So I think deterministic models are still probably a lot more accurate because they follow a logical life cycle approach, a logical approach, right? And only much later, you can have some probabilistic outcomes, which could also be in the areas of risk management. Like you can actually say that, okay, the way the transactions are going, let me forewarn the customer that,
Hmm.
you could be exposed to some risk. Let me forewarn the customer that, there could be some shortage of funds. Okay. And
True.
something else can happen. Okay. So those are fine. But in general, I think we prefer things with a little more certainty,
Deterministic approach.
especially when
Yes.
you're looking at customer facing outcomes. If it's internal,
Hmm.
then obviously you can keep experimenting with both probabilistic and deterministic.
Yeah, because the risk exposure is much lower there. True.
Yeah.
Rajiv, your thoughts on this, please.
Let me go off mute. So see, the AI models are fundamentally probabilistic. Okay, the more data you put in, you're going to result in higher probability, but they would remain probabilistic, right? So, if you're looking at AI by very nature, mainly because of its the core. I mean, we are nowhere close to singularity, right? I mean, we believe we are close to we believe we. I mean, if you look at some of the large language model people, they say that in certain areas we are now singularity, right? But we are now. We can't. I at least don't believe so, and most of our customers don't do, right? So, obviously, large organizations are looking at getting higher and higher probability before they start implementing systems, and therefore they start doing that. And that can happen based on the knowledge, based on the history of experience that the customers had with them, and therefore engage with them accordingly. And that is where we are seeing. And then as probabilities start getting better and better, that is when we will see it. Because I tell you, the implementation of probabilistic model, you think about, let's say, State Bank of India with 550 million customer. If the probability of success, let's say, is 80%, okay, I am not so sure that Nitin would like to implement a system with that degree of probability. Because especially if it is a customer facing recommendation that you're making, that you buy a policy worth so and so, if he's running an insurance business, right? Without actually applying more and more such, deterministic principles based on his past experience in dealing with these conditions. So I think probabilistic models are still awaited. You can take that situation with autonomous driving, for example. I mean, you think about it. Yeah. You've got you will not let a car go on I-90 in United States, which is completely autonomous, right? Is the probability of it crashing into another vehicle is 0.001%, but you will still not let go. So it depends on the criticality of the applications when customers are making these choices. You know, but as Nitin said, large organizations are more likely to stick with deterministic models as against probabilistic as of now, even however high the probability of success may be.
I think we
Absolutely.
use a bit of, I mean, it's not like we completely disregard probabilistic, especially when you are looking at let's say you have a list of customers to engage with and
Yeah,
you
of
want to
course, that is
prioritize.
very
So you will use probabilistic,
absolutely, yeah,
at least in the basic form of propensity modeling.
correct, correct,
Okay.
correct.
True.
But recommendations are generally have to be more accurate because
Have
customers
to be
will otherwise just discard them and say that you have no idea what I do.
correct.
True. Absolutely. With so much of cross-selling happening, especially, so you have to
Yes.
have your vision right on that perspective. True. So,
Yes.
quickly moving on to, as a CXO accountable for large transformational investments, Nitin, which value dimensions carry the most credibility today? Cost reduction, risk mitigation, customer outcomes, operational resilience. Like, I have this long plateau for you, or strategic positioning. What is of importance?
I think all of them are important in their own way. I mean, depending
Uh-huh.
on what you're working on, the order can change. There are certain
Okay.
things that you do for, let's say, just for customers. There are certain things you want to do because, you are getting into a new era of regulation or compliance. There are times when you just want to do this because you are trying to catch up and the world has moved on. Okay, though even though those instances might be not too many. And there would be times that you're just trying to defend your turf also. And you are doing many of these things just make sure that you're ring fencing and you're continuously making sure that you are protecting your customers, which could be on the lines of risk and fraud management, etc. But I think at least in SBI, because we also think a lot about capacity building, each of these
True.
things, when they are prioritized in whichever order that they are, we will obviously have a view in terms of making sure that we build enough and more capacity for future. So,
True.
so that is a universal principle for us.
Okay.
But the order of these areas that you mentioned, that can keep changing.
So
All
the
of them are equally
credibility
important.
would be kind of subjective, given the transformational
No
project that
credibility.
you're working on.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an underlying theme. You can't say that I will do something which is not credible. I
True.
will only do it for the sake of reducing cost. And see, we are not very fussed about reducing cost. We are not the kind of a bank, which is, we don't even have any kind of charges for not maintaining balances, for example, okay, which is
True.
where the world thrives, the banking
Yes.
thrives. So we are in that sense, cost. If it helps us save cost,
Mhm.
it's a good thing to do. But if it helps the customer, and even if it doesn't help us save cost, we would still prefer, that it works with customers rather than for us.
Great. So, Rajiv, your perspective also, like, how has your framework for evaluating transformation ROI evolved in recent years, especially as enterprises demand faster, more defensible outcomes?
So I think when we look at it, customers are looking at clearly non-linearity, right? I mean, and therefore you need to be able to do more with what resources you've got, right? I mean, I think that's very important. Customers are seeking consistency continuously, and customers are seeing lower risk. I mean, in achieving non-linearity and consistency, they want lower risk, right? And that is the balance that organizations are continuing to strive. Very often, therefore, we end up what we've seen end up taking what we use as a phrase like low hanging fruits to try, uh, you know, uh, new technology, new techniques, and in the context of our discussion, artificial intelligence, something that will give us returns so that we can prove to ourselves and our organization that indeed this thing works, right?
Mm.
And once it works, then we start taking higher and higher risk. So we are seeing that all the things that you're seeking with the balancing aspect of risk management is something that we're seeing customers adopt, right? And the important thing is when we look at our clients, they, some of them do not look at the implementation of AI as a business case matter, right? If I'm making an investment, what return will I get, kind of an equation. Some
True.
of them are trying to do it, working on it because uh, this is a irreversible situation that we're getting into, wherein it is not if, but it is when, this technology will be very, very pervasive. So that is what we're seeing clients do. Uh, but then they're also looking at various things. Like if we talk about agentic technology, there are phrases that are being used which are agentic storm, number of agents coming into play, how you orchestrate them, how you
Absolutely.
mitigate the risk
Yes.
of.
The
So those
agent
are things,
sprawl that we talk about.
agent
Yes.
sprawl that is there. I mean, you don't have an agent yet, maybe
Yeah.
most of people, but then agent sprawl discussion is happening
True.
as well. But
Absolutely.
so therefore, um, when you put it all together, the gains are the gains are there to be captured, right?
Mhm.
And the second thing that our clients are observing and recognizing, and we internally within our own organization are recognizing that we've got to adopt this. This is an irreversible journey, and we need to adopt it. That will enable us to hire good quality people. That will enable us to hire good quality clients. That will enable us to establish our organization as an organization committed to new ways of operating, right? But at the same time, the role of our CISO has become extremely important,
Absolutely.
and the whole aspect of managing risk in any large organization has become, it's a good balancing factor. That's what we see everywhere.
Great. So quickly moving on to my last question, and then I would request you all to share any viewpoints that we have missed or would like to touch upon. So, despite years of digital transformation, certain challenges we experience and we see that they still persist globally. Nitin, so if I could ask you from your experience, what are the hard problems that you still think don't have a clear answer? So, when transforming at population scale, and what do you believe will define success over the next 5 years for you? If you have some perspective on that, what are the true challenges that persist, even after you have kind of got your journey sorted and you have your technology stack in place, but certain challenges.
I don't think those are challenges. That's just the nature of business, the nature of what we do and where we do this.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the we are still not completely included as a society. Like you have only 500 million users on UPI, right? It's growing, no doubt about it. But we are still away from being at the 900 million adult population or economically active population in some way or the other, using digital payments. Okay, as much as everybody in the ecosystem wants them to be. The second one, I think, is not an unsolved problem, but it just keeps manifesting in a different way. It has been there in the past also. It just keeps moving one step ahead all the time. Is this whole fraud risk, where new kinds of modus operandi, new kinds of cyber related frauds, or mostly frauds. I'm not talking about cyber security since Rajiv already spoke about that, but uh, that is something we is keeping us on our toes all the time, because the goalpost just keeps moving ahead of you. And I think we don't see any time horizon ahead of us where we can confidently say that we've done away with all frauds. There are no frauds which are taking place, and it's not happened in any part of the world. There are good and bad actors to everything that happens. So I think that does remain, and I think in terms of maybe challenges for the next, or you said how do you would you define success for the next 5 years? I think from an SBI context, the way we would define it is that all our customers are digitally included. We would want them to use what we have to offer them in the way that they want to consume. Okay, and that is really what we're working towards. We would want our employees to benefit from AI. We would also want our customers to benefit in a certain way. We are already visualizing a third version of which could very well just be an AI agent, and it works for you on the basis of voice and whatever other commands that you want to give. So I think the truest form or test of success for SBI is really that we remain relevant to all our customer segments, which has been the theme the last 20 years.
Absolutely. Rajiv's thoughts from you, and then maybe you all can give some closing remarks too, please.
Sure. Thank you. I mean, for a very engrossing discussion. It's always great to hear Nitin's thoughts, and on this very relevant subject. See, I just say that uh, when digital technology is being implemented, right, it is being implemented for consumers, right, and very often, you know, the demography and inclusiveness that Nitin talked about is, if one is see, the benefits have been enormous, right? Without a doubt. You can buy anything anywhere. You can sell things that you don't have in stock. The benefits are enormous, right? There's a degree of infinitum that you add by getting digital. But at the same time, can everybody consume it the way you're serving it? The stacks that large organizations build, they are built centrally and consumed globally sometimes by all kinds of people, right? And are they? Can you design something that is meant for everybody, right? Is a question that people seek, and in costs that are limited and without complicating it too much. If you design, so that's a balance that people are always striving to strike. Without making it too much in a very simple manner, can it be applicable for more and more people, right? Um, Second thing that going digital, as Nitin pointed out, opens up to fraud that we've never visualized, right? Or we cannot imagine. I mean, it's a catch-up game that you're continuously playing, and a fraudster needs to get it right once. And large organizations who've got this big responsibility actually need to get it right every time. And that's the reason why, this whole AI factories, control and sovereignty and data and all of those things are becoming very important for large financial institutions as they grow their digital adoption. How do we make sure that their clients are secure? Because that trust is a very important factor, right? And they continue to build on that. And that's what we've seen. Has there been a big challenge to digital adoption? The answer is no, by and large. Digital adoption is there. Today, Nitin has 10 million customers who are digitally engaged with the bank, nearly about 10, maybe even more, and 100 million customers, right? Now, when you've got, so therefore, would you say it's success? It is, absolutely, it is successful. And a lot of challenges have been overcome. But at the same time, there's a more to do. He's got another 500 more million customers to go to adopt digitally, and they're not adopting because of several things that he's grappling with.
Certainly.
That's where it is.
Yes. Nitin, some parting thoughts and just quickly a thank you for this engrossing interaction, as rightly mentioned by Rajiv. So, yes, thoughts from you, Nitin.
No, thank you. Thanks very much. Just one correction, Rajiv. We have 100 million customers on Yono.
100 million, my
So
goodness.
yeah, yeah.
I sorry, my apologies. I actually sometimes mix up between crores and million. So that is where I bungled.
But
10 crore,
yeah, 10
10
crore. 10
crore.
crores on Yono, and we have about 13 and a half, 14 crores on our internet banking. Now we've combined the two. So I think collectively, unique customers would be in the range of 15 to 16 crores.
Yeah,
So we still have a long way to go. And our chairman has said at the time of launch that, from 10, we want to go to 20 in the next 2 years, 2.5 years.
there you go.
So there is a path cut out. But no, thank you very much, Minu and Koshi and everybody else for having us here. The only one thing I should have probably let you know as part of my introduction is that I started my career with HCL.
Oh my goodness.
So now sitting and
Oh,
sharing this
that part I didn't know.
alongside, yeah. So I did not start off with banking. My first role was with HCL after campus, from after college,
But,
and
but,
I
but
did
you know,
sales
just
and
to interrupt briefly, but I get to hear this from a whole lot of people, Rajiv, that they all started from HCL and then, of course, have moved to places.
You
And,
know, you'll be
so,
surprised, that there are now nearly 150 CEOs globally who are ex-HCL. And, Nitin, when
no,
he
no, I
told me,
have. I truly echo because,
yeah,
I have been listening to this stuff, but this is a surprise for me, Nitin, for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, this I
Nitin
didn't
told me
know.
about it, that he started his career at HCL. I wanted to leave him to kind of tell this.
Wow.
so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Yes,
why
yes, please continue, Nitin. Sorry,
this whole
it just got me
session,
excited.
no, so this whole session along with Rajiv is really is something I was looking forward to. It means very different things to me, more than just a discussion, just to be on the same screen with Rajiv. So I just wanted to thank you, and I think we continue this journey together in a meaningful manner, which is uh, going to benefit our customers for sure. That's all I would like to say.
All right. I too want to thank you, Nitin, for a wonderful conversation. It's a pity we are not meeting in person to do this, but I promise you that next time I'm in Mumbai, we will catch up together
Oh, we will. Definitely.
and have that. Thank you, Minu, for this wonderful opportunity, and grateful.
So, as this conversation shows, digital transformation at population scale is not about chasing trends, it is about building relevance, resilience, and trust that can endure over time. Thank you for watching.